The stage is yours. Thank you. And a big applause, of course, because we need to welcome him.
Thank you. Thank you very much, first of all, for inviting me. So it's a pleasure to be back to Czech. In springtime, I've been on the TestCrunch conference, right? Had some good sessions there. And now it's so good to be back to Prague. And yeah, it was great announcement about beer as well. So I'm looking forward to see that. I'm a Hungarian living in Finland for 5 long winters. Summer doesn't really count there. But it's okay, it's brilliant. Yeah, we discussed about 15 plus years of experience, right? Mine is 20 plus 23-ish, mainly starting in telecom. Telecom testing where, you know, things are good process-wise, a lot of testing processes exist, a lot of time to do things, and it felt like, how to say, a bit of a fairy tale. Now looking back, how much time we had to read those 200 pages of requirement specification documents, to do test design, to come up with everything, what you need. And at the end still feel like, oh, I should have tested more. But anyway, I worked for Nokia Networks, pretty heavy, pretty complex systems. I've been testing protocols, communication areas, call forwarding, if you even remember what that is. It's been something I tested heavily. Yeah, what else? I'm working as a test coach now. So I left Nokia after 19-long years and coming to Efficode and supporting organizations on their DevOps journey, DevOps transformation. I'm also very active in ISTQB. You know that thing, right? Hopefully. I've been the president of the Hungarian board for 4 years, working in processes working group in ISTQB. Now let's see what is my next task. Maybe next year I can already present things about that. Yes, and I am being tested by my 14-year-old teenage daughter as well. Oh, by the way, on the road here from the hotel, I've seen this Lego museum. So there was a chance that you lose me. I went in there because I love Lego. I'm collecting Lego. I have like 600 sets, and it's my favorite. So if you want to make me happy, it's Lego. All right, what else? On top of collecting Legos, I'm also collecting certificates. So I love to learn in a way of learning through frameworks, learning the theory, and then learning all of those, applying them together in a more system thinking way. And the best way to learn is actually to teach it. So I'm also Scared Agile framework teacher. I'm teaching SAFe, and I'm teaching ISTQB sometimes and whatnot. So I love to understand what's happening on the left, what's happening on the right, and I love to combine that together. Today I would like to talk about how quality assurance can be tackled in Scared Agile, and this is based on my experience. But before going there, just a few words about our company, Efficode. So it's big, in 10 countries, 600 plus people. We support companies on the DevOps and on their journey to better software development. And through that, we do a lot of transformation, a CI/CD platform as a managed service, driving safe transformations as a bronze Scared Agile partner, and as a platinum Atlassian solution. Yes, we love Jira, and we live with Confluence and everything. But yeah, we are helping to use it in a useful and practical way. Okay, that's all about the advertisement part. Now let's talk about where do we start, where the story starts. So the story starts with the challenge of multi-vendor DevOps challenge, right? Okay, what is that? I will tell you. This whole story, what I'm telling now, is based on my last 3 years working for a telco client and working with them on redefining their testing processes, into new ways, sometimes suffering a bit, sometimes having positive surprises. I'm not removing yet the testing column. Maybe I should. I love that. But in general, trying to get quality assurance and quality assistance into every aspect of what we do. So this story is based on that. I'm not saying this is the one and only way. I'm saying this is how I see based on my background and based on the things I do. So what is the multi-vendor DevOps challenge? So thinking about DevOps, I suppose you know this infinity loop, right? If we have one, this represents a CI and CD pipeline. So it represents the infinity loop of continuous value creation and continuous value from the development, the developers, to the end users, to the customer. Now in my situation with my client, this is a communication service provider who actually gets software, systems, solutions from multiple vendors. It's a 5G network owning telecom operator. It's huge. It has, I don't know how many vendors, suppliers bringing software in. So instead of having one CI/CD loop that is providing from vendor software to the supplier, we have multiple loops, multiple pipelines that needs to work somehow together. Now this is what we call multi-vendor DevOps challenge, or hell. And what we think this should be built into this more beautiful picture of well-connected pipelines where the service provider is in the middle, having a continuous accept, deploy, monitor, operate cycle, and the different pipelines are connected to it. The different vendors, a Nokia, an Ericsson, a Huawei, not anymore. Other companies are providing their software, solutions into this pipeline. Now that was the dream, and we started to work on it. And it brought in some challenges. Let me go a bit deeper about these challenges. So how this could look like. If I open up the pipeline, we will see these different stages. On the left, what you see is the vendor different pipelines, right? The typical continuous integration, so within the R&D teams, low-level development and testing, let's put it that way. Then there is some level of product integration, or staging environment, and then there might be a solution level integration. So really multiple boxes, multiple products brought in together, like in our case, radio and core networks, to provide a full solution. So it needs multiple levels and layers of testing, right? But in DevOps and in Agile, we want this to be on the pipeline, so in a flow. Now, that way to that way. So the flow comes, and every vendor is supporting this software through their pipeline, which then gets to the vendor, right? It gets into the middle of the flower picture. And there, again, multiple testing stages in laboratory of the telecom operator, then in another environment where you again combine all the different products from all the different vendors, and then finally you get to production. Simple? Not really. Is it multi-vendor hell? It's just the simple DevOps hell, and then when you start to repeat this with multiple vendors, then you will end up in that situation. Now just to spice it a bit, the organization where I'm working currently is a telco cloud platform organization. In telco, you have your own cloud layer, cloud infrastructure. So it's not only different applications are coming together, but there's also a VMware infrastructure under, then you put software on top of that. And all this, of course, should work together. This way, integrated vertically, horizontally, every way. I love this complexity. It's good to work with it. All right, so this is kind of the challenge what we want to build. This is a dream we want to build. But this needs a proper quality assurance strategy. This needs proper pipeline. This needs way of working, and all this needs to fit into scaled agile framework, because that's what the company is using. And by the way, on top of using SAFe as their operating system, business operating system, they also use ITIL for service management. Who knows ITIL? Okay, that's good. It's another buzzword, right? A few letter thing, but if you are working in IT and on the service side, this is something you need to learn. These are the two tiny frameworks that we had to try to combine and not merge, but make them work together. In ITIL, people have understanding of services and what a service is. In SAFe, you have an understanding of a product or a program, a release train, a solution train, etc. So the SAFe framework is how you build your things. The ITIL framework is how you run it, operate it in production. And then, of course, there's the feedback. Okay, just to show you again the complexity we are working with. The fun and the multi-vendor DevOps hell is on top of this. So what was the ask when we started this work? Describe a continuous quality assurance process based on SAFe and risk-based testing approach, utilizing the pipeline with dynamic quality gates. Good point, quality gates, right? Not only one, but a lot, kind of like the criteria you mentioned. And then with automation in all stages of the verification process. Okay, again, tiny ask to build. So, setting the stage. This is what we tried, and this is where I think I have some ideas how to go on. Hopefully, this is reusable, so I try to generalize it as much as I can, so it's not, only in this context. All right, so how do we check QA in DevOps, or how do I see quality assurance in DevOps? Quality assurance or also quality assistance. Let me come back to this one at the end. It's simple. Okay, let me just hide it. So the different layers of continuous quality assurance as we try to capture are the following. So on one hand, tackle the scaled agile way of working. How do we actually do quality assurance? How do we deal with quality? Actually, not only assurance, but how do we build in quality from the beginning? Through making sure we have proper responsibilities clarified, we have backlog management, refinement, grooming in place, proper definition of ready, definition of done's. And we have a good way of working which is supporting collaboration of all teams throughout the SAFe framework. SAFe has its own built-in quality concepts, and then we try to build on that. But this is not enough. You need to have a good representation of the value flow within your pipeline. By the way, I believe without a proper pipeline, there is no agile. You just fake it. Until you don't have continuous deployment or continuous delivery at least in place, how can you know if what you create is valuable? How can you say that you are done if it's not in production? It's done and not in production, that's just a dream. It's not reality. You hope it's done. So you need to have this one well-defined in your CI/CD pipeline. I'm not talking here well-defined in the tooling, but for example, the Jenkins file. So what are the activities that are happening after each other? How do we test? And when I ask how do we test, it's always within the pipeline. In TestCrunch, we did actually a workshop, a full-day workshop on how to design a pipeline. And that is extremely important to this, in this area. So how regression tests, how acceptance tests are happening within the pipeline? What are the dynamic quality gates? And I'm saying dynamic because saying this is done might be different for a small change and a big change, a story or a feature. So what is the level we are testing on? Do we need end-to-end testing? In the roundtable today, we discussed a lot about end-to-end testing, why we believe it's missing in Agile and how to handle it. Who is responsible for that? So all this, I believe, needs to be represented in the pipeline. And the last one is, of course, we need proper tooling, proper team to prepare the pipeline, prepare the tooling, create it, help us with test automation, building and integrating test automation solution, not being responsible for test automation. I'm not saying a dedicated team is doing the automation. I'm saying they are building the platforms to automate. Yes, and maybe they could do some initial test case and keyword automation for reusability, but that's just one point. So in this presentation, actually, I want to go deep in this part. Okay, and I will touch a bit the other areas. So, talking about QA roles and responsibilities, what did we do and how I think it could be beneficial? Again, understand what I'm talking here is a large organization. So even for SAFe, this is a large organization. They have 15 agile release train, all of them with 50 to 120 people. It's large. Oh, 6 countries, by the way, it's spread. So even more. For me, it's large, and there are, of course, larger. So I've been there with Nokia as well. Okay, so first of all, what we had to do is clarifying responsibilities. Who does what? Do you know the concept of system team? Scaled Agile has the team called system team, and it's some people, okay, let's put it that way. In some situations when we have a safe transformation, the testing team is just renamed system team and we are done. That's almost like now the morning coffee is called the morning scrum or daily scrum and daily stand up and then we are done. Yeah, it's not. But the system team in SAFe has 2 purposes. One is that they build CI/CD and they are responsible for automation, deployment automation, configuration automation, standardized technological practices. So I would say DevOps platform. But system team is also something that could be responsible for end-to-end testing, non-functional testing, and actually making sure that in between teams, testing is done. Now, need to be careful. If you just rename your testing team as a system team, it will never work. In Scaled Agile, the real ownership is with the Agile team. They own, and they are responsible for the backlog items, to make them, to deliver them, to test them. System team should only support. If you give the responsibility to system team, then we will have the test column. We will call it end-to-end test column, and it will be just another handover, which will not work, right? That's not how Agile should work. So again, system team should support. So when we said, let's clarify the different responsibilities, one term was to make sure that we understand Agile teams are responsible for the testing, they are responsible for test automation. System teams are providing support in end-to-end testing. And in some cases, special testing like reliability, chaos engineering, performance testing, security testing. But again, best would be that this is also going to the Agile teams. Now, I said system team is 2 types, so have this testing team and then the DevOps platform team. So as a start, I believe it's good to split these 2 teams so they can really focus. So one team is focusing on the CI/CD practices, the other one is focusing on more the testing with very good cooperation. Otherwise, you don't know what testing problem to solve with automation. And we said in Agile there is no test manager, and it's true. But I propose, and this is what we've done, to have a QA lead, quality assistance, quality assurance lead, mapped into the so-called architect role in SAFe. Why into architect role? It's again a dedicated role in Scaled Agile, because the architect has a capacity allocation, create to suggest so-called enablers, technical debt reduction, future work. So we prepare for the future. And I see that this QA lead need to help the organization to prepare for the future. So if I map it into architect role, by nature of the framework, this capacity, this prioritization, this role exists. So this worked for us. This is what I believe is a good part. Also, as you see horizontally, there's a lot of community of practices. These are like chapters in Spotify model. These are like the profession is working together solving problems, right? So QA lead needs to work with product owners, teach them how to make sure there are testable backlog items. Teach them not to forget about testability issues, not to forget about non-functional requirements, etc., etc. Also, with Scrum Masters, the same, make sure that there are practices in the Scrum teams for testing, shifting it to the left, making sure testing is not only one column, but everyone's responsibility. I love that. Architects, again, to making sure that quality is built into the architecture. Again, large systems, think of reliability. When you need to build highly reliable systems, 5.9 availability, that means in 1 year, your system can be down for 5 minutes, including software upgrades. But that's challenging to reach. And for that, you need architecture changes. Okay, so again, the QA lead role need to talk and cooperate with architects. And of course, you need quality assurance community of practice, so not to lose the good testing way of working practices that you had before. All right, on backlog management, what I believe we need to push for is, first of all, and I'm coming from the right because I believe in shift left, so will you do shift left from the right, right? Non-functional requirements, making sure the company and the organization understands what are the non-functional requirements, what are the most important quality characteristics. Deployability, is it a term? Is it something that we talk about? We talk about typically performance, usability, maybe reliability. Security? Yeah, definitely. But deployability, how to build a product that is actually deployable. We are in DevOps, right? So we need deployability. Repeatable, automatic deployment. Important quality characters. Observability, another hard word. How do you know the system is actually working in production? Because you observe. How do you know that? Because you built telemetry, product KPIs, possibility into your product, that the product itself saying if it's healthy or telling you if it's not. Extremely important, again, for the DevOps thinking. And then the rest, security, performance, etc. Last one coming up nowadays a lot, sustainability. I would give two, understanding for sustainability. One is you can build your product in a sustainable way in long term. It's way of building it. The other thing is, what is your carbon footprint? If your product is in the cloud and running and eating up electricity like hell, your product is not sustainable. This is a new thing nowadays coming up as a new quality characteristics to focus on. So which one of these are important for your company? What does these means exactly on the products we are working? This needs to be defined, and it's a hard work. We spent almost 1 year to go through all these, get input from architects, from everyone, from business, and make a set that needs to be followed. Now, why NFR then is again important from this point of view? Because you need to have definition of done, including non-functional requirements, and functional acceptance testing, validation, fault status, operational readiness. I said ETL, right, and service management. How do you run and manage your service in case of an incident? That needs to be figured out. So your feature is only done when it's serviceable, manageable. So it's not enough that it works, it also needs to be, you need knowledge base, you need to be able to see alarms if it's not working, you need to be through observability, measure if it's there. So a lot of new things that needs to be included in definition of done. This company, this is a 173 item checklist. Huge. How do we build that in Agile? Well, I will tell you in a few years. But it's big and it needs to be there. On what level and what level of the backlog? Is it only release definition of done? Is it story, feature? You need to clean it out. All right, and then we move to the entry criteria, which is called definition of ready, when the backlog item is good enough to start working with. Is it testable? Do we understand? Can we estimate? Can all of us know how to start working on it? Very important. And here, as a QA lead, you have a lot of responsibility to educate product owners and actually to tell them, this is crap. This is not fulfilling definition of ready. Oh, but we are in a rush. But it's still wrong. Oh, but we will fix it on the way. Yes, please. Be very sharp on rejecting anything that is not fulfilling definition of ready. If you have the power, if not, please make sure that there is enough sponsorship, high enough, that backlog items not in line with definition of ready are not accepted. Quality mindset, building in quality through your process. All right, and then it's not enough to work in the sprint or in the increment, product increment, roughly a quarter in safe. You need to look ahead to the roadmaps. What is coming next half year? What is coming next year? What kind of big investment in quality assurance do we need to do to be able to handle that? The QA lead, you regularly need to stick together with product management, looking into roadmaps. Do we need to change test strategy? Do we need to create so-called enablers in SAFe, which is like helping you to work for the future, doing something now for the future? We want to improve our reliability, non-functional requirement. For that, you want to introduce chaos testing, right? Chaos engineering. You know the chaos monkey? You know the chaos gorilla? The big brother? Chaos monkey is switching off virtual resources, virtual machines. Chaos gorilla is switching off servers, right? You just bring it the banana and it works. It's amazing. But you need to introduce these tools. There's a lot of fault injection tools on the market, but some are open source. You need to put them in. So make sure that if you want to have these improvements, you have time, the teams have time, so there's a backlog item for that. So very important, again, to look into the roadmaps. And this is the point when the clicker died. Failing in production. Oh, and my slides did as well. Okay, no, I found the way. All right, one more thing here is to help the collaboration, and I fully agree, teams should work together and not have that much description. But what I've seen when we go into these large organizations, especially over countries, you need to have something written. Lightweight, collaborative documentation that helps. Sorry, lightweight documentation that helps collaboration. Miro boards. Confluence templates. I know we might hate Confluence still. And remember, as it was said by Katja as well, it's not the plan what is important, it's the planning activity. So until any tool is supporting your planning activity, it's a good template. So you might need definition of ready template, supporting the teams, and then in workshops, you work with them to figure out what exactly should be there. Definition of done, same way. These are supporting backlog item analysis. So when can we say that the backlog item is good enough, testable enough? You have good acceptance criteria. Good means you can derive test cases out of it. So templates helps. Quality gates. These we derived originally from entry and exit criteria of this waterfallish testing, but now these are part of your CI/CD pipeline. So if a piece of change got this far into the pipeline, it fulfilled quality gate 1, quality gate 2, and quality gate 3. So this is how high my confidence level. This might mean it went through acceptance testing in a production-like staging environment, but not passed security testing. So functionality is there, security is not there yet. So these quality gates are giving you a view of confidence in the quality. This is how you should use it, not as an entry-exit criteria between phases. And for me, this is not in the Kanban, this is purely in the pipeline. Any change goes through and the pipeline tells you how far the change went. Yeah. Okay. QA plan. Quality assurance plan. You might not need it, you might need a lightweight document. The point is to question what could go terribly wrong? What are the failure modes to test? What special NFRs do we need to test? Non-functional requirement. What regression tests we need to run? Big one, small set. What area we need to retest after this change is coming in? How to define the test flow in the pipeline? This change might need a dedicated security vulnerability scanning. So the pipeline needs to see that when this feature comes in and pull in additional tests. And then in this level, you might need special test documentation for certain compliancy results. So make sure that those are as lightweight as possible, as easily generated as possible. For example, robot test cases written in Gherkin format, reported in PDF or whatever, whoever needs it, but make sure it's as little work as needed for you. And then the same supported test management tools supporting all these fast way of working. And again, can't believe how many times I presented X-Ray as a test management tool, how to use it in the Scrum teams, in the solution level, capturing tests. Some teams have already all their robot test cases running in CI/CD immediately reported in X-Ray automatically, and then all the results are also reported in a dashboard. Some other teams say like, oh, I love my Excel. My test cases are in Excel, and that's the way how we do it, because that's the way how we have done it. Wrong. I'm sorry, wrong. This size of company or thing needs some kind of standardization. And I believe, again, X-Ray or whatever you choose as a test management tool is a good one to support you to have proper APIs and standardized connection points between tools, standardized way of reporting to dashboards or showing the results. So all data should be together, so actually you have transparency and you can make decisions based on facts. Make quality transparent, right? By the way, all this is building trust. That's what I think. With having proper test reports, test results available to management, it is building trust between development and the management. If you hide this, if you need to hide this, it's a problem. Then it's a cultural problem. Yes, and getting towards the end, I said we need a very big change in perspective in SAFe. We had test management before, right? We had planning, scheduling, estimating, monitoring, reporting, controlling, and completion of testing activities. ISTQB definition. And then we moved to quality assurance, which was activities focused on providing confidence that quality requirements will be fulfilled. Providing confidence. I'm the QA guy, I give you confidence. But what I want, to move to quality assistance. So this is an approach to quality management that focuses on quality culture throughout the organization. Everyone is responsible for quality, but quality is being built in throughout all these roles, working and collaborating together. The quality assistance is your new buzzword, if it wasn't until now. All right, and as I said, I would look a bit into the other two layers. So very important to have a very good designed CI/CD pipeline. And we do this design with card games. I will show you at the end, or just give you a link. You can design your pipeline with card games. Understanding why, understanding how, and when you have a common agreement, then the Jenkins file magic happens. I don't want to read, I can read Jenkins file, but I'm not sure that's the most exciting things. But of course, it could be any other CI/CD tool. Yes, quality gates I mentioned as well. These are part of the flow. So as further you go into the pipeline, as closer you get to deployment, the best is your quality. By the way, in DevOps, what do you want? You deploy into production, you measure how it works, and when it works, you say it's done. Right? Not like it's done and then I deploy. It's the other way around. Important. And then what we are also doing in here is to support the CI/CD team, to actually working with them, building all this, started in Jenkins, now moving towards GitHub Actions, whatever is important and good for the company, figuring out, how to, what are the best practices for standardized test environment management, deployment, automation, configuration as code practices. So these are really going down into this SRE, site reliability engineering, and DevOps practices, especially when you work with cloud, how to deploy reliable cloud infrastructure, how to deploy application on top of that. So this is key. Yeah, testing doesn't work alone. Testing needs all this. That's again why I'm saying you need to have a strong pipeline-oriented team and strong automation here. In some cases, robot keyword creation can be done here as well. And why robot? Why keyword-driven? Because then you can utilize those keywords with acceptance test-driven development, making sure your acceptance criteria is testable. Okay, that will be the next year session, maybe. All right, so some takeaways. Now this button works at least. So I think it's very key in large scaled agile or less or Spotify or any model to understand that test management is not a role anymore, but quality assistance is important. So it's good to have this role there. Tailoring SAFe, which I hear many times. Oh, this is not SAFe, this is our tailored version. Now that shouldn't mean keeping waterfall testing. My test team is now called system team, and we still do handover, and we are coming at the end, and we are the blockers, and everyone hates us or loves us, whatever. That's not a transformation. So you need to do proper thing. Collaboration in a QA lead role is even more important than ever. As you've seen, it needs to work with everyone. Actually, QA lead role does not exist. And I say QA lead role is a transformational role. After a while, you can remove it. After everyone knows how to do quality. When it will happen? Maybe you will have some, years in the position still. And as I said, there is no agile, no safe transformation without DevOps. If you cannot deploy automatically, if you have no proper pipeline in place, the whole thing is just a myth. I believe we are good because the Jira item was moved to done. Yep. Does it work in production? Who knows? In staging? What is staging? Okay. So that kind of discussions I would like to avoid. So with that one, promising that I will show you the pipeline game. This is something you can play online with your teams. So just go there, and of course you can't see it, but on the next page it will be. So we have a card game. Katja, we played lovely with this one, right, last time. Really, it's a card game. So try it out with your team. There's a digital version, and it's the, further reading, the first link there. I really suggest to learn about CI/CD through this pipeline. I found it, gamification is the best way to learn. All right, so with that one, I showed you the multi-DevOps, what was it, multi-vendor DevOps hell, right? Some ideas that how to solve it, some ideas on how we think, how I think quality assurance could be embedded in SAFe and in large agile. And I hope that also gives you some ideas for any type of agile, what to focus on and who to talk to make sure quality assurance is not forgotten. If you wish, and please wish, click on that QR code because that's how my marketing is measuring my success. KPIs. And follow me on LinkedIn. I'm typically yellow. So, hello. Thank you very much. Bit over time, but I suppose we still have time for questions.
We still have time. So, any questions?
I would say you can ask me at the beer as well, but please ask something here.
Well.
Was this the talk you wanted to hear?
I'm asking the questions now. For me, that was really interesting because I've dealt with a few clients who are doing SAFe, and when I looked at the SAFe model, I couldn't find testing. Yeah. So you said you were talking about trying not to modify the SAFe model, try to stick to best practice. This is really part of SAFe. We can take all these quality gates and so forth.
None of this is against SAFe. And SAFe has now, SAFe 6.0 have even more dedicated articles on quality assurance and built-in quality. Always go for built-in quality practices. A lot more on different testing types, a lot more on end-to-end testing, a lot more on security, etc., etc. But at the end, don't forget, SAFe has the pipeline. And it changed the way how they visualize the things even to show more that DevOps is there, teams are deploying all the time and releasing even in different cadence. So nothing is against SAFe here. The only thing I did is just name QA lead role as a new role. All the rest is from SAFe.
Okay.
But kind of taken as a focus.
And you mentioned that this kind of setup is applicable to the other scaled agile models. Yeah? So I know less.
Yeah.
There's something called Spotify model, but any environment where you've got multiple teams, in this situation it was external vendors, but like most cases, I think most organizations here, you're doing some sort of scaled agile or multiple agile teams. Yeah. And this approach is applicable to any model, you think?
I mean, I didn't introduce anything new. Non-functional requirement has nothing to do with your framework. That's your product, right? Definition of done properly is your framework. Definition of ready is your, those are like agile things, not framework specific. In this case, system team concept is more like safe. System team does not exist in less framework, the large enterprise scale Scrum. But they might still, they have the department of undone. And that's actually the same. Yeah, if you look large, less large, there is this undone department. And that is to fulfill all the things that needs to be fulfilled between done and deploy. And there you will find similar things as the system team.
Okay, but here the important thing was the system team is not doing the testing, it's supporting the testing.
I would
the
say
testing still belongs with the agile team.
That is how it should be.
Yeah.
And then where we are now, let me not tell. By the way, Spotify model for me is more like the organizational model. But a squad is an agile team that can deploy on its own anytime, right? That's the whole point of squad. They have the rules, they have the rights, they have the capabilities to deploy when they want to deploy.
Okay. One last.
Maybe if I may?
Yes, please, come on, tell. Yes.
Okay, so you mentioned the transformation through QA, quality assurance, to quality assistance. And that quality assurance is there to build confidence. Yes, that one, thank you. Test management, sorry, thank you. So now there are some fairly well-known names in the testing space that will basically tar and feather you if you say that testing builds confidence.
Oh, Mike Bolton, James Buck.
I try to not use their names. I'm not going to deny or, anyways. So where's that confidence in the quality assistance?
Confidence, I would say, is coming from the amount of tests that has been done in the pipeline. And yeah, one point I didn't mention, I believe that CI/CD pipeline should also include the concept and the way of working, a hell lot of in-person testing, exploratory testing, whatever we name it. Testing is not only quality assurance, testing is learning, right? That's what James Buck and Michael Bolton saying. When I'm testing, I'm learning something new about the product. Or at least this is also what they are saying. And
yeah.
many other things.
Yeah.
But
So
what I want to say is that, how to put it, confidence is built through seeing automated tests becoming paused, understanding how we defined to test those exactly, understanding that we had proper risk assessment and we tested against those risks, against the acceptance criteria. So our tests were good, plus exploratory testing to make sure that even additional ideas were covered. And yeah, we were able to deploy it in production and it actually works with the real users. That's, I think, the biggest confidence that we can have.
I'm all for building confidence, just for the record.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But again, I think quality assistance is to help us to have all of that in the organization and not as, I'm the tester, I'm building your confidence here.
All right, thank you. This was awesome. Big applause.